I've got three stories for you today with real consequences for how you work day to day. We've got OpenAI's new image model, which writes readable text in 9 languages, and it's making Canva designers a little bit nervous. We then can see that Meta has started logging keystrokes and screen snapshots from its employees to train their AI agents. And then Anthropic has just tried to 5x the price of Claude Code overnight. So coming in for today, we see that ChatGPT has released its Images 2.0, and that happened yesterday. And the headline for me is not the image quality, which may surprise you, because we've all seen these really impressive AI images before. We can see and know what's capable with AI at the moment. But for me, the headline is actually what it does for people who make marketing-based assets and training materials or client decks every single week. And the things that matter here is, first, we've got the text rendering. You can now ask for a poster with real copy, with real headlines, with real body text, and it comes out legible and on brand. We've all seen those AI images where you got that kind of hieroglyphic type text that's been formatted. It kind of says a word, but it kind of doesn't, or it's misspelt it. Well, now we can see that this is definitely going to be improved upon. And we can see that it can handle a bunch of different languages with Japanese, Arabic, Korean, amongst all these other languages too. So that's going to be a huge game changer when it comes to asset creation. The second thing is around the thinking mode side of things. And this is very similar to what we saw in Opus 4.7. And now this model is going to reason through your brief before it then generates. So now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be briefing the AI in a way that you would usually brief a junior designer, let's say. And you're going to get something back closer to the draft than just some sort of concept that you then have to push into a different design tool as a result. And thirdly, we've got multi-page outputs. So for example, with this, you can generate a full 4-page comic, a magazine spread, a booklet, and character reference sheet all in one go. And at the same time, it's going to hold your visual identity across all of those multiple pages. Now, if we go and have a look at the official announcement, we can see this brilliant video that's come into play on what they have created. Making note of the text on the images, it's no longer this kind of hieroglyphic. And some of these renderings, in my opinion, are much better than what we've seen previously. And what I particularly like below here is if we have a look at the image mode of this particular news article, you can see we've got the nice texture of the paper, got the headline, all this type of thing. It looks like it's been printed in a magazine that's maybe a couple years old. But if we look at the classic mode, this is how an article would look like on a website. But in the image mode, we've then got this looking absolutely brilliant and crisp, and that has been AI generated. You can then see a multitude of different examples that are coming through here, all built with ChatGPT's Images 2.0. Wow, look at this. This is fantastic. That looks like it's an absolute real notebook entry. And they've even got like the tea stain in the top right here. Okay, wicked. There's an example of the comic book cutouts. Here's an example of different languages available to us in a library setting. Again, more of the comic examples. You can just see here how this is so much better, especially with the typography and the lettering compared to what we've seen previously. These are looking extremely realistic too. Now, if you want to take a practical angle to this, I would definitely recommend that you test maybe a first draft response. So instead of looking at blank screen, you can just use through natural language a prompt within Images 2.0 and then just see what comes out of that first shot. Maybe take a LinkedIn carousel, a one-pager, lead magnet cover, something in that realm, and then paste an existing prompt into Images 2.0 and see what comes your way. You will find that it reduces the amount of time to the first shot significantly depending on how long it's been taking you to do it, but it's going to go from blank canvas to something real that you can then edit and change up far quicker than previously. Okay, moving on to segment 2 today is that we found from Reuters that they broke a story yesterday that tells you exactly where these big tech businesses are kind of going. And what they found is that Meta has rolled out something called the Model Capabilities Initiative. Now, this initiative, MCI, is an internal initiative that they put in, and what they've done is they've installed tracking software on their US employees' machines. And what that's specifically doing is it's recording their mouse clicks, their keystrokes, it's taking screenshots, and the whole point of this is to train AI agents on how humans actually use computers. And we saw a key quote here from Andrew Bosworth, who is the Meta CTO. And he said, "The vision we are building towards is one where our agents primarily do the work and our role is to direct, review, and help them improve." And what's interesting here is that Meta rebranded AI for Work as the Agent Transformation Accelerator. And they've got this new job title called the AI Builder. Now, that is explicitly meant to replace traditional engineering and operational roles. And to give you a bit of context, we're seeing that Meta is cutting its global workforce by about 10% from the 20th of May. We've also seen that their job board has gone from 800 jobs to 7, which is a huge reduction. The wider context is if we're looking at Amazon, we're seeing that they've trimmed around 30,000 corporate roles. And a couple months ago, the story broke that Block cut its workforce by 50%. Now, if you're worried about this kind of tracking software coming and creeping into your work role, here's kind of 2 actions that you can take a look at this week. The first is if you work on a company-issued laptop, have a read of your contract and just check what type of monitoring software is installed. Now, this is kind of just basic awareness to understand what's occurring and allow you to have all the information possible to make a well-informed decision. So it's not there to kind of make you paranoid, but it's to understand why it's there and what the use of it is going forward. The second is if you run a team, if you're a leader within the team, study the AI builder role within Meta. And what we're finding is it is going to be the generalist operator job for the next 2 years or so. And this is someone who wires agents together, directs them, it reviews outputs, improves prompts. It's using AI as a tool and it's training it to become better too. So that might be an opportunity to upskill yourself in this world and kind of create some job security in the future. So identify who on your team could grow into this type of role going forward. And then finally for today, we saw yesterday developers noticed that Claude Code had been marked unavailable for the $20 Pro plan. On top of that, we saw that the help docs had been rewritten to say that it was available exclusively on the Max plan, which starts at $100 a month and then goes up to the $200 a month price point. There was kind of no real announcement. It kind of just happened relatively quietly overnight. But we saw that the Anthropic head of growth, Amol Avaser, said on X that it was a 2% small scale test and existing subscribers were not effective. Now, the problem here is that the pricing page and the documentation were updated site-wide, so it kind of felt like it was applied to everybody rather than this 2% small scale test. And another quote that came from Amol Avaser around this is, "Per subscriber usage has increased significantly, and our current plan architecture was not designed for this scale," which is also interesting because we've had confirmation that Codex is going to remain free, but also on their $20 plan, as well as Gemini CLI remaining free too. Now, the reason that this matters is that agentic AI is becoming more and more popular in 2026, and agentic AI is not metered in the same way as a chat is metered. We've actually seen that a Claude Code session has burned through more tokens than 100 ChatGPT chat conversations. So what we found is that those flat rate subscriptions are kind of not built for purpose anymore. They were purely built for those chat-based conversations and not for agents that are actually doing the work and burning through more tokens than the actual price of the subscription. Now, if you want to stay ahead, I would highly recommend that you take these 2 moves this week. It's highly recommended that you have a look at your AI stack and audit it. Take a look at the tools that you're using, the current tier, as well as the pricing of the tier above, because you want to make sure that you are budgeting as if you are 1 rung above the tier and see how much that is costing you every 12 months. The second thing here is to run one workflow across 2 providers. Now, the idea here isn't to switch, it's just to prove that you've got some options just in case the pricing increases and that makes you fall outside of your particular budget. And you're going to thank yourself so much later on because you've planned for this eventuality. And that is the daily dose for today, Wednesday, 22nd of April. If this is the kind of thing you really enjoy, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know if there's anything I've missed or if there's anything you'd like me to cover, and have an amazing day. Cheers.